Hi, my name is Narasimha. I am from DigitalOcean. This video is going to be a multi-part video series on a few of the things that probably we can just take the retrieval augmented generation ideas and POCs forward to convert them to real usable applications. There are many things that will be covered because of which it has been converted into different video parts. First of which I would like to dive into the storing of the document itself. This is the most simplest part that probably you have seen everywhere, that how this happens. This is the building base for us because of which this has to be done. And on top of it, we will discuss about that what is the next things, the couple of things that we can actually do it to ensure that, let's say, if the user is looking for most recent information, how that can be still made available via the chatbot that we are trying to build. For that, so let's just quickly go through what's happening in this particular code. Store documents.py is basically having the web-based loader. The web-based loader is currently being used from the LangChain community for scraping through some of the links that is provided here. These can be any links for us based on the requirement. We can just put the links that we need to scrape here. It could also be, let's say, different sources like PDFs and documents and things like that. So accordingly, we can use different loaders. And another important thing I want to highlight here is the Chroma DB storage path. In this particular case, I have put this as an environmental variable, and also that path I have mounted to the Chroma DB containers volume, because if, let's say, for any reason the Chroma DB container errors out and it just stops for some reason, then it would still be having all the data present in my host machine, because of which I can just simply spin up the container again, giving this path as the path to look for the data, and my Chroma DB will still be available for me to give the information, work flawlessly. That's the reason why you can think of why we have provided these using the persistent client and getting the information from there. Also, get or create collection is basically when it is running for the first time, it creates a collection, and after that, it just gets the existing collection for us to do the rest of the operations. Clean HTML is something that I added here just because that when we scrape the web pages, then it is sometimes you get some special characters and some unwanted text which gets added to the existing legitimate text. In order to address that, we could just have a utility created ourselves. We could also find some from the internet. This one particularly I wrote it just because it was very specific to the web pages I did scrape through, and it needed some of the things to be replaced. Basically, this could be something that can be customized as to the need based on which the data we are scraping through. And we are then loading that information to the docs, and we are making sure that every doc goes through this clean HTML to get the final docs, which is a little more cleaner HTML. Now, we're coming to the last part of it, where finally we are uploading each of the docs metadata page content to the collection, which we already received from this line number 11. And once this is over, we have information in the Chroma database from all the links that have given as an input. And that is the foundation that is against which I'm going to be querying about. If we want to really test this, we can just, that's the reason why I have provided here a simple main function. So we could just call this Python store documents, and it just looks for what is this specific of the question, and it gives one result back to know that it is working. So once this starts working, then probably we can look at the next step as to, okay, how do we make sure that now if any web pages content updates, how do we target that? So yeah, you can see here that it is able to give the information. One result is returned, and this contains information which is semantically having the questions answer, and then we just give this information to the LLM, and then we make sure that that LLM answers the question correctly. That is going to be part of the next bit. Now, moving on to the important crux of today's video, which in, let's say that, okay, now what if some of these links gets updated because it keeps changing, right? So some of the information in these web pages changes. How do we still make sure that we give the latest information to the user, although those data is updated? That is when we're gonna use some of the classic techniques of creating, let's say, this store documents as a Linux service, right? That is one. And then we're going to move on to converting that into a cron job. How are we going to do that is, let's say in this particular example, I have a Linux machine, which I have got it from the core machine from the paper space. So you can see that I have created this service called store documents service. It is present in etc system D system. And then a simplest service that looks like this is having unit and the service and the install. And then the most important aspect for us to update here is the couple of things. What is a working directory? What is the environment that is under which it is executing? The exec start, basically we are using Python command, and store documents.py, just like how I did it in a terminal, just a few seconds back. And a description as to what this does. This actually is basically covering the aspect of store documents execution, but we are wrapping it as a Linux service. Now, why are we doing this? By doing this or converting this whole thing as a Linux service, we do get an advantage that, let's say, if the web pages that we are targeting are updated on a daily basis or 2-3 days once or weekly ones, accordingly, we can actually create a cron job. In the Linux, we can just create a cron job and we can say that I want this service to be running in the frequency that I want. So in this case, it is basically, let's say I want to run it on a daily basis. How are we going to try that? So basically, we can just say cron tab -e. I'll just want to open it in the edit mode. This is a cron job stable. And as of now, before this, I did not have anything else. But in this particular case, I just added one line. That means this is the only cron job which will be running for my scenario. You can see here the 0 to ***. If you have seen the cron jobs, how it works, basically this is the time, this is the minutes, this is hours. So basically I want it to run at 2 a.m. and then every day, month and week. And this is just a command. So the service, which is store documents, and restart this particular service. What's happening because of this is that every morning, 2 a.m., store documents service gets restarted. When it restarts, basically it just executes Python store documents.py command again. When that program runs, it is basically looking at those links again, and it is just getting those information, converted into vectors and storing in the vector database. And basically it is just keeping things ready so that when we hook it up with a retrieval component and then make it complete via the chatbot in the future. So basically that's how the whole application is going to look like at the end. So every day we will have the newest information available to us in the database, so that any new question that comes in from the user, if that answer will be definitely available in the Chroma database with just a lag of probably a few hours, because it is running on a daily basis. So this is how we can actually extend some of the POCs that might have been done on RAG. So this is just on the storing part. So we have still not integrated the retrieval and things like that, but the base, or probably the behind, how the storing the documents itself can be automated in a way that it keeps its data up to date, is something probably that can be implemented in this fashion. This is one of the ways that can be done easily. And in the next videos, we'll be covering about how to hook the retrieval aspect of it and what other additional things that we can do over there. And then we'll also see to it that how the app, different ways we can actually make sure that it's available and things like that. So yeah, so that's it for today's video, and look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.